Hello, hey everyone. Just trying to get this camera started. Happy Friday to everybody. Hope everybody had a good week and a good day as well. We've had a jam-packed week full of people who as well. We've had a jam-packed week full of people who we have moderated for. Go ahead and do your usual checklist, everybody. Once you come in, welcome, welcome, welcome. Send out your daily harmonies. Go ahead and repost. Thank you all for the gifts thus far.
No, a lot of my style really is morality.
Do I hear some feedback?
Morality.
Okay. Host might have to mute because I hear some feedback from the whole side. Okay, cool. All right. All right, so go ahead and do your daily heart me's. Send out the repost to your people that follow you. Also share it out to your stories. Make sure you tap the screen. We only got about 109 likes thus far. That is too low for us to go ahead and get started. So let's see if we can get at least 5K before we have the guests come up, before we start the live. We have a candidate from California that we'll be highlighting today. So hope you're looking forward to that. And in the meantime, share it out to everybody that you know who would love to hear about this conversation. Hello, Yolanda. How are you? Okay, the host said that they're back. Okay. Alberti says that this is one of his opponents. Yes. So this is somebody that you would like to hear from as well. So this will be interesting. All right. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Just let me know that you all are happy that it's Friday and this is the end of the week. Let's see. Don't worry, George. Oh, okay. He said George and him are good, so they're not enemies. They're good colleagues. So that's good. There's no tension or any type of animosity. So that's good. That's good to hear. All right, we do have George here. So, George, if you would like to request up, well, I shouldn't frame it that way. Go ahead and request up so I can bring you up so we can get started. All right, let me see. All right. Hi, George. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Glad to hear it.
All right.
What state are you in?
I'm in Alabama.
Oh, thank you for staying up late. I appreciate it.
No problem. But we do have people on our team that is from California. So OVC, our team, we're all over the country. So
Oh, yeah, I've noticed. That's awesome. How did this all start?
it just started with a group of us who were interested in politics. And we saw that there were candidates on TikTok essentially who were starting their campaigns. And we figured, hey, we didn't see anyone who had a platform to speak to candidates in more so of like a discussion type of platform that was more of a focus instead of just them coming into a random live and then recentering the conversation to them. So we figured, won't we just create a platform dedicated to talking to candidates, whether it's local, state, and federal, and also educating people on the importance of voting. So that's how we came about creating Our Vote Counts.
Awesome. Yeah, I found a lot of people on here that are really awesome candidates. So I appreciate it.
Yes. And I am thankful for the algorithm because once we found people like you, the algorithm pushed a lot of other people our way that we got in touch with. So we have a jam-packed schedule starting 2026. So you came in right on time when it wasn't as busy. So we appreciate you being here. All right. So in the meantime, just let me know whenever you're ready, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
All right.
Okay. Thank you all for sending out the daily heart means so we can go ahead and get pushed out to the FYP And thank you all for contributing. And just for FYI, George, are you able to accept gifts on your account?
Yeah, I should be fine.
Okay. Just wanted to add that because I know we've had candidates in the past where they had that feature turned off. So just want to make sure before people come in and try to gift you, if you're able to do so.
I think I have it turned on.
Okay, yeah, I see about 11. Let me try to see if I can send you one. So just to test it. I see some odd numbers, so I don't know if it's based off of people following you. Let me see. Let me test it out. Oh yeah, I'm able. Yes, so you can. Okay, cool. All right, so let me know when you're ready, and then we'll go ahead.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay. All right, hey everyone. Welcome to our Vote Counts TikTok Town Hall Live. I am your moderator, Jaz B Flower. And just for those who are not familiar with our Vote Counts, we are also known as OVC. We are a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity, and ensure every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, and accountability and action, we're building a stronger democracy. So with one informed vote at a time, please join us because your vote is your power. So tonight we're joined by George Slivka, and I hope I pronounced your name right. Is it Slivka? Did I pronounce it right? Okay. And you are running as a candidate for governor of California. So we'll be taking your questions live and asking about your background and your vision for the state. So just to give you the format of the town hall, after each set of topic questions, I will allow one person to come up and ask you a question. And then if we don't have anyone in the queue, then I'll pick out a question from the chat for them to ask you. And so just rinse and repeat process after that. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. All right. So, George, for those who are meeting you for the first time, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for governor?
Yeah, totally. So I'm California. I moved here when I was 6 years old, so I've been here for a long time. I went to school here at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. And yeah, I learned a lot about the environment and all of the issues we're having with it. And that was kind of I designed my own major. I called it sustainable habitation. So I kind of did things in all of the engineering fields. And after that, I kind of just left and said, all right, it's time to start fixing stuff. So I've done like various different things. The first thing I attempted was to make a replacement for the stock market. It's called Plumtree Market. And it was basically like the idea was everything inside of it would not be toxic or harm humans and stuff. That kind of fizzled out. There was some issues with that was the first time I kind of engaged with politicians, and it didn't. It kind of fizzled. So, but all throughout the time, the first thing I did after school was I got myself an EV and I started delivering for the Uber during that big spike to try to combat the emissions from all that. And yeah, I've always been pretty active in writing letters and campaigning that way towards politicians. And it kind of felt like I would write a letter and things would happen. But then it wasn't really exactly the right thing. So that's why I kind of was like, I think it's time for me to run for office and just do the thing.
Okay, thank you for that. So also, I just want to give you an icebreaker question before we get down to the tough questions. So I understand that campaigning can be very time consuming. So with that being said, can you tell me if you've had to put a hobby on the back burner since you started your campaign?
Yeah, I mean, totally. I like to hike a lot, and I don't really get to do that much. One of my favorite things to do is go door to door. What I forgot in my background was my most recent job was I was a door to door salesperson for a Beyond Organic company for produce that pays living wages to their farmers. And so I actually got a big. I loved a lot going door to door and meeting all the people. So that's one thing I've got to do more of since I've run for office. So that's been nice. But yeah, hiking not as much, and I kind of get in and out of sewing, but lately I've been doing this series here on TikTok about all the different counties, and it's kind of like I wake up and I start doing stuff, and it doesn't end until I pass out. So I haven't been able to sew lately, which I miss.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And I bet it was interesting learning about every county in California. How many counties is there in the state?
There's 58 counties.
58.
But what I just learned was when the state started, there was 27,
Hmm.
and there was only like 2 counties that are the same like shape and size since then. So it's been interesting. I'm only on like county like 5 right now because there's a lot of stuff with all the different ones, starting with the natives and then all the different towns. So, but it's been awesome to learn about all the stuff. I've been falling in love even more with this place.
All right, that's good. That's good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and roll into talking about economic development. So, my first question to you regarding this topic is we understand that California's economy has grown to be the fourth largest in the world, which surpassed the economy of the country of Japan. We also know that the private sector growth remains strong, yet California still struggle with the cost of living, of housing affordability, and regional disparities. If elected governor, how would you leverage the economic strength to ensure that growth delivers real opportunity and affordability for working families?
Totally. Yeah. So I think it's important to remember that a lot of um our economic growth has been in tech, which is kind of like software stuff. Hasn't really been in tangible manufactured goods. I mean, we do have one of the biggest manufacturing economies in the nation as well. But I think it's important to remember that. But one of the ways I'd like to leverage growth is one of my housing projects is called what I call Hillments, and that is where we go to places like freeways or aqueducts, and we build apartments over them, or condos, excuse me, condos over them, and and then we put a hill on top, so it's like a park. So it's a park. It adds green space. One of the biggest issues in our cities is a lack of green space, and that green space also contributes to the heat island effect with our increased temperatures. So this would enable and with these helmets, depending on the region, I'd like to make different partnerships. So I actually have a video on my profile about partnering with Disney to do helmets in Anaheim, because there's lots of people that are really big fans of Disneyland. Like people have like whole groups where they come from like Oregon and like carpool together. And so the way that would work is we get them to help us pay for the condos, and then in return they get to do stuff on the top park space, because something that a lot of people don't know is Disney used to be free, and it was like a carnival. You just pay to ride the rides, and so the idea would be like a new free Disney area. And so I'd like to leverage partnerships where we can convince these companies to help us pay for the housing and in return for something cool like that. And sorry, I had something else I was going to say. But yeah, basically trying to leverage the economic development, and also we need to be investing in the infrastructure in these rural areas. So, and that is to get more companies to go to our rural areas. That's what the 58 Capital Plan is about, because in those areas, we're losing population. And so we have housing available. It's just not in our major cities. So if we can convince people to move to our different counties with jobs, then we can leverage the housing we already have available.
All right, thank you for that. All right, so the next question I have regarding this is we understand California's economic growth is heavily concentrated in mostly metro areas in the state. What's your strategy to bring high quality jobs to the inland, rural, mountain, and desert areas that often get left behind?
Indeed, yeah. So I'd like to focus on new age manufacturing. So there are companies across the world that are doing metal 3D printing, and one of our biggest sources of venture capital that is investment from outside the state into our state is from space tech. So I'd like to leverage space tech, and I'm trying to get us to a point where we have a form of transit that's like public transit to the moon, because the where we're at right now, the billionaires are about to own the supply into the Earth of all the materials, and so we need to get regular people capable of going into space. And basically, I'd like to put those manufacturing jobs in these other areas by investing in the infrastructure and convincing the companies to come. And another thing that we need to focus on is we're trying to become independent. Like during the pandemic, we kind of saw that like it's not really a good idea to be dependent on other countries for things like food and medicine. So I'd like to invest in the hydroponics for things like tropical fruits, and we would put those in the rural areas. I'm very focused on the rural areas, especially the places with prisons. We have counties that have like 50% of the workforce works at a prison, and so if we want to like get people out of prison, and not like, dangerous people, but like we have a system where we have a capacity of prisons that we're trying to keep full, basically. And so if we want to get the people that work at the prisons to join us, then we need to make sure that they have jobs like the hydroponic tropical produce and space tech, as well as I'd like to be designing and building our public transit in the state. So we're working on our high speed rail, but it's not being designed by Americans. And so we need lots of other forms of transit. Like I'd like to also investigate the aerial trams, and I'd like to be building those in these rural areas.
All right, thank you for that. Something did strike me, what you just mentioned about hydroponics. Are you referring to hydroponics in the sense of a different way of growing produce? I think it's using like the PVC pipes and like growing upward, and those different type of structures to grow it upward without having to use soil. Is that what you're referring to when you're talking about hydroponics and a way of growing produce?
Yeah, so hydroponics, what hydroponics directly means is like growing things without soil and in water. But I use it as a phrase to really just mean, yeah, the indoor stacked agriculture. But the focus that we're trying to focus on is to get it without the plastic, because that's one of the major focuses of our campaign, is getting the plastic out of our food supply, because the plants absorb it through their roots, and then we're eating it even in our produce, and even in the soil fields when it rains and stuff. So yeah, it's really investing in the forms of indoor agriculture, but without the plastic, because all of the companies that operate right now, they are using the PVC and different forms of plastic, and so this is for one reason is to make our cities independent. Like Los Angeles should be producing a lot of its own food, which it used to right around, but now people like me live where the farm used to be. But also, yeah, in the rural areas, flexing it for like tropical produce and more specialty things like cocoa and coffee.
And that's awesome. I do like that model that you just mentioned. So, all right. So, if anyone like to come up and ask George a question regarding economic development, feel free to do so. If you're not able to come up, that's fine. Go ahead and drop your question in the chat, and we'll read it aloud. All right. So let me go ahead and check the queue just to make sure I didn't miss anyone who would like to ask a question. Looks like I don't see anyone. So we'll roll into talking about healthcare agenda. So, Mr. George, I did learn of a new program in the state that just recently launched, which is called the Transformational Maternal Health Model, also known as TMAH. Looks like California is one of the 15 states that just added that in order to help with their Medicaid and children's health and insurance program delivery. It's more so like a payment processing model to help improve maternal health outcomes. With that being said, as governor, how would you ensure that the TMAH model is actually delivers more measurable improvements, such as particularly reducing like preventable mortality unalivements and closing that racial disparity when it comes to outcomes by using that model?
Yeah, totally. So I'm not actually familiar with this. I wasn't aware that happened, but yeah, as governor, I do know that there is a disparity in maternal health outcomes during pregnancy. So what would be, as governor, we'd be able to create like commissions to investigate this. And so one of my healthcare plans is rather than trying to get free healthcare, which is everyone wants, the healthcare for all, that hasn't passed for a long time, is focusing on, we have a hospital shortage in the state, and sometimes that just means that they are closed in the area. But the idea is, I think we need to be investing in public free hospitals. And I think that it's really important, and when we're staffing those, to make sure that they represent the communities. And so like, I feel like, so in terms of like race and gender. So I know in my experience, it's sometimes harder to get a female doctor to like believe me in the things I'm saying. But then I get a male doctor and they're like, oh, okay. And you can imagine that happens the same, that as we've seen historically, that happens also for race, right? And you have people of different races, they're telling you things and they're like seeming to not believe them. So I think it's really important to make sure that we are getting the doctors of all our different communities into the health care and into the areas where they have people of similar backgrounds. and that can happen by integrating these the public hospitals into universities that we can lower the cost and we can really target communities and bring more people into the healthcare industry. I think we need to have a larger supply of doctors. A lot of our doctors come from internationally, and we need to be really focusing on getting our people into the healthcare fields.
Great. And then as a follow-up, just to kind of target it more on the notion of the racial disparity issue in healthcare, could you tell me how would you take steps to make this particular gap close a little smaller regarding making it more equitable when it comes to prenatal care, postpartum care, regardless of income or race? I think that should be talked about a little bit more. So if you can expound upon it, let me know.
Do you mean the healthcare part, or like making sure everyone has access to the healthcare?
Yes, regardless of race, income, closing that racial disparity
Yeah.
regarding
So
the healthcare portion of it.
yeah, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start a commission that is identifying all of the need areas for healthcare centers in the state. And so that will include things like, is there hospitals and is there disparities? And then we're just going to focus on opening the centers in those spaces. So that's going to be part of the research. Part of it is, do we have hospital bed shortages? Because we do in almost every valley. And then also it'll be like, what are the outcomes at the hospitals that exist? And then making sure, again, that when we fill in those gaps, that we're filling them in with people that are that represent the community. And that happens by targeting programs for students to make sure that they're getting into college and healthcare professions, to make sure that we have the supply of people to do that. But yeah, that'll be part of the commission's job. That will be focused.
Okay, so you'll do a commission.
Yeah, that's one of the first things we're going to do is through the hospital bed shortage. And because the difference with this is I can declare as a governor an emergency for a hospital bed shortage, and we could just open these free hospitals. And so that's the difference between this and CalCare for All. Whereas I wouldn't need legislative approval for this; it could just be done because it's an emergency. We have a shortage. And then the commission that will be first to started to investigate all this will have multiple things that they're investigating in terms of where do we need more healthcare coverage.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, if anyone would like to come up and ask George a question regarding healthcare, let me know. It looks like we do have someone in the queue, so let me bring them up. All right, hi Georgie Reynolds. How are you? Did you want to ask George a question?
Yeah, so does it have to be the topic we were just talking about?
No, you can ask if we've passed by a topic or a subject. If you want to ask him, feel free to do so.
Okay, cause I was researching you as a candidate and I saw a video that someone had posted and it was a video of you saying I support genocide. I don't know if that's true or not, but can you just
This
clarify?
is a person from my lives who's like,
Okay, I just wanted to stop real quickly. I didn't mean to interrupt. Just that word itself can be very triggering
yeah,
to
hold on a
TikTok. So
second.
can you just use a code word and saying like G
This
side?
person is a spam person. They stalk my lives and say crazy
Oh,
stuff.
okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm glad you told me that. I'm sorry. I'll
they were
have to
like,
bring you down so we
they
can move.
said that there's a person named Jenna and I need to be
No,
on their side, and
Okay.
then they reported me saying that. This is
Okay.
just
Thank you for that. I will move forward.
so I
All
didn't
right.
realize they have a lot of accounts.
Okay. Well, thank you for the heads up. I was not sure, so I appreciate you letting me know that. All right. So we do have a few questions in the chat. We have someone that asked, how would you protect California from losing their Medicaid and when the big beautiful bill takes effect next year?
Um, so part of it is I'm trying to make allies that are in the Congress that will, fight for these different things and work together starting now, so we can get that work done. Because we can amend that bill with the next congressional people. But part of it also will be, we need to be just making sure that California can cover its own healthcare. Like you said earlier, we're the top economy in the state, and we can take care of our people's healthcare without needing the federal government. And at this point, it kind of looks like we need to just be making sure that we can do that for ourselves. Um, and and yeah, it's not ideal. I mean, I'm happy to meet with Trump, but their priorities seem to be to make us unhealthy in lots of different ways. So I think a lot of it is just about California being able to generate its own healthcare outcomes without federal involvement.
Okay, and then another person asked, what is the first major spending area you would commit to protecting or cutting when you become governor?
So, major spending area. One of the biggest spending areas is probably the prison system. It's like we have $18.1 billion that we spend on prisons. And so I think we need to take a hard look at what people are in there for, and if there's other solutions that we don't need to be filling them in prisons with. And part of that is, we use the labor of prisoners to fight things like fires, and so we need to be, figuring out solutions through research at universities and stuff to fight these fires without humans, really. But yeah, if we could really take a hard look at that, because the way it kind of works right now is like the police and the prisons, they are one single union. So they kind of work hand in hand because they want all of their people to have employment, right? So when they're like, oh, people are coming out, then they kind of plan it, and they're like, they kind of just round people off the street. So it's kind of that would probably be one of my major target areas. But we also need to be looking at our healthcare, how it's being spent. And that's why I'm focused on these private hospitals, because the way it works right now is we're just dumping money into these private systems. And it's like, and in the systems, they're profiting like lots of money. Or they have these people making, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so if we can, figure out which areas we could possibly do these public hospitals instead of giving money to these private systems, that probably would be good. Like in California, we spend 4 times the cost of care. Like, so when every dollar we spend in healthcare, it only costs 25 cents to do that, but we're spending 4 times as much. So to audit that and where it's all going.
Okay, and then someone asked in the chat about prefab housing. Are you familiar with that? Has anybody reviewed prefab housing? Not, not. Are you familiar with that at all? That doesn't sound familiar to me.
Prefab housing, I mean, there's lots of different housing solutions. I know that there's companies from like China that are like selling like full houses that you can just ship. I'm really more focused on housing that is fireproof, especially as we're continuing to expand into the hills. If we can generate housing, like things like the Hillmans would be, have a covering over them. And then also 3D printing housing is another development that can be done quickly and fast and can be done in situ, which means like turning the material on site into building material. So prefab housing is definitely an option because it's fast, but in a lot of cases, it's also fast to catch flame. And so I'm really focused on housing that is affordable, fast, but also fire resistant or fire.
Then this last question from the chat before we move forward. Someone asked, how would you support foster care children with the recent cuts coming, especially from Medicaid? I think they want to ask you, will you offset the cost from picking it up on the state level than the federal level? How would that, what would that look like?
Yeah, we need to fully cover our foster children. That's one of my priorities. I also want to, basically my plan is that we are going to cover the foster care children, and then including while they're in school. So we want to make sure they're all going to college, and as long as they're in college, we're going to be covering their expenses, right? Most people's families that are going through college have their families supporting them all throughout that time with housing and health and the education costs. So we really need, if we have foster children in the state, we need to be making sure they're fully covered with the housing, with the healthcare, all the way until they're like, all right, I'm ready to go. Because that's how regular children are operating generally. You know what I mean? So we shouldn't be just saying, well, you're a foster, so at 18, you're dropped out. But we do actually have programs in this state that are much better already for covering people past the age of 18. I've met people that have moved to California from other states that are foster people because of those programs. So there already are systems that are focused on these children and young adults, and we just need to like expand on those and fully ensure coverage. Just like we said we covered the pretty much all the cuts we have expended or lost from the federal government. We figured out a way to cover it. And we need to do that as well. And I'm open to investigating a small wealth tax, like up to 5%, probably closer to 2, on like ultra rich people, like billionaires and whatnot, to help pay for these things.
Okay, thank you for that. And those were a long series of questions from the chat. So, chat, I appreciate you all being so engaged in this conversation. It definitely helps the live go. So, all right, we're gonna go ahead and roll it over into talking about education and student debt. But particularly regarding K through 12 schools, this will be my first question to you. So, given California's current per student spending and the size of its public K-12 and higher education systems, how would you ensure that increased infrastructure or housing reforms don't come at the expense of education funding?
Yeah, so I think part of that is partnering with these companies to get help investing in our schools. Like when you go to colleges, lots of like labs and stuff are like sponsored, and it's really expanding those sponsorships and making sure that we can get people investing as well as private donors, because we really need to figure out ways to make our college free or close to free as possible. And yeah, also housing does need to focus on student housing. And that is happening already. It's one of the things that we have like tax deductions for, is if you're building affordable housing or student housing. So yeah, we need to be mainly with our education. We need to be finding lots of revenue sources that aren't just from taxes, and making partnerships in that, because the thing is with school is like there are people that are going to college to just learn everything, and they want to know everything. But there are people that are going to college because they want to get a job, and they want a specific job, and they want to be prepared for that job. So, by partnering with the universities, we can help make sure that those students are getting through university and immediately getting a job through those partnerships. So yeah, basically finding more sources of revenue.
Okay. And just to follow up, so we understand that career readiness is essential when it comes to preparing students after they finish school, especially with them going into the workforce. So how would you expand career technical programs in education, such as implementing apprenticeships or at least having a pathway to connect students directly to good paying jobs in California?
Sure. So part of that is is investing in our entrepreneurs, because there's lots of people that have a lot of ideas in college, and if we can get them funded, then they are bringing the people with them to that idea, and that's a fully California business, and that's good for everyone. But additionally, yeah, we need to be making sure that our job fairs across the state and the different universities are connected with the right people. I know that there's certain target schools for like engineering or for political science, and it's really, yeah, we need to be making sure that all the different colleges have access to these connections, by making sure that they have enough investment in the certain specific programs, because everyone knows about like UCLA and like USC and stuff, but there's like the inland schools like San Bernardino and places like that we can be making sure that we're investing in, and making sure that their classes are like hitting certain standards, so that the companies know that these are people they want to hire with those new skills.
Okay. Thank you for that. So that was the end of the portion, the education portion. So we do have a question in the chat. Someone asked, is the federal oversight protections are weakened, and how do you plan to hold schools accountable?
So I'm guessing that's the below college schools. We actually have lots of oversight already in California. So while they have their own systems of like we have our own like core education curriculum that was designed here in the state. So we actually are already like generally protected. Like and like a lot of the things as well. Like we have our own EPA, we have our own food regulations, and we have our own like education standards and guidelines. So it's really just about making sure that we're continuing to meet the standards that we've already put in place. You shouldn't be so scared for us when you hear things like, oh, the EPA or the FDA is cutting this, because we have our own systems that handle that for our state. It's really just these other states that are in grave danger with things like that.
Okay, so it looks like no one else has asked you a question in the chat, so we'll roll it over just to take a quick break. I'm gonna give you a set of rapid fire questions. These are more political in nature, so let's go ahead and test your pulse on this. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. Which region of California needs infrastructure investment first? Is it coastal, inland, mountain, or desert?
What mountain? There's places that there's fires and they only have one way to get out. So we need to make sure that all of our towns have safe exit plans.
Okay. All right. Is California currently investing enough in rural and mountain communities? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. High-speed rail, revive it, redesign it, or scrap it?
Keep it going. It's really close. And also we need to plan the rest of it because the planning is what took so long.
Okay. Do you support statewide caps on utility rate hikes? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Is California affordability crisis fixable in a single government term? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And lastly, should California offer more incentives for businesses to expand outside major metro areas?
Yes.
All right. So those were the end of my rapid fire questions regarding the more political side of things, but stay tuned. I will have some more at the end. These are more fun in nature. So, all right, you did good, George. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about public safety. So we know in 2024, California's violent crime rate dropped from 483 per 100,000 people, which is down from the previous year, which was 2023. But with that being said, can you tell me what would it take if you were elected governor on what steps to make sure that the public safety will be addressed regarding its root causes, especially in underserved and rural communities?
Yeah. Definitely in the rural communities, they need better access to public security systems like that. I think the focus with public safety is kind of multifaceted. Part of it is we have to focus on systems that are for things that are not emergencies, so that people know that they could always call the phone and it won't always be a dangerous person that arrives with dangerous tools to address the situation. So by addressing that part of it, we can ensure that people are always feel comfortable calling for help to reduce violent crime. But also, you want to remember that even violent crimes, a lot of that comes down to poverty. So, like in the inland deserts where we are, like in Victorville, for example, that's in the desert just above Riverside, and they have a big issue with violent crime, and it's usually based in poverty. So if we can address the poverty by making things as affordable to live as possible through the things like affordable housing and local food production that is subsidized, then we reduce the stress. People aren't just violent by nature; they're put into stressful situations that cause outbursts.
Okay, and more specific regarding the root causes of violent crime, just if you could think about the first year of your term, could you tell me what your idea of a one measurable outcome would be regarding addressing that root cause as governor?
The root cause of violent crime, it's really going to be addressed. It's making the cost of living as cheap as possible. So one of the plans is like fruit trees on the street. So like technically you can survive on just fruit. So if we can get systems on the road that are just free to access, then no one's ever going to need to be a criminal to afford to eat food. Like if you're starving, then you'll probably do anything to get something to eat. But if there's food available, then you're not going to be so stressed out. As well as making sure that we have sufficient. We need to make sure that there's enough beds for all of the like homeless people, so that no one ever has to sleep on the streets, because that's also a stressful situation that can lead to poor outcomes.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. Because I think a lot of times people don't discuss the root cause. They just tend to put a band-aid over it and just say, hey, just lock up a lot of people. So I appreciate your elaboration on that. But regarding public safety, there's someone in the chat asking, will you keep the current California law that restricts local law enforcement cooperation with ICE?
Yes, I don't like ICE. I want them out as much as possible. I think they're trying to they're doing a lot of things. They're trying to basically fill the prisons back up that we just closed. We closed 2 or 3 prisons in the state, and then they were reopened by the federal government because we should have eminent domained them and taken that property away. And yeah,
And would you hold ICE accountable if they
what?
were to, and then would you hold ICE accountable if they were to come into the state without collaborating with the governor or the local level, if they just came in without any notice?
Yeah,
Would you hold them
especially
accountable?
yeah, and especially if they're violating laws, then they need to be charged with those crimes and detained as well. I mean, we need to make sure that everyone on the street is safe, regardless of if they're um, a citizen or a resident.
Okay, and just to kind of dial back, we were talking about violent crime. Ivan just mentioned violent crime primarily in California is rooted in mental health. So do you have any ideas about how could you, if you had any ideas on any incentives or any allocation of funding regarding combating the mental health crisis in California?
Yeah, so my mental health plan is combined with my homeless shelter plan. I'd like to do what I call public health spas, which is like a mental health facility that's combined with a public pool. So basically, the idea is it's an indoor space, but there's lots of plants inside that are proven to be effective in health outcomes. And you can look at things, they're called peace gardens that they do at hospitals, and it has improved the health of patients by a measurable impact. So I'd like to, especially in the cities, basically it's a free public pool. There's all these plants that are healthy for you to breathe, but also there is beds, so it's a homeless shelter, and also there are mental health patients. So basically it's like opening up the mental health hospitals again, but anybody can go, because honestly anybody could use probably mental health care on some days. You know what I mean? So if there's just a centralized place that's normalized for people to just go into, free to come in, free to come out, and have different systems in there to help people with their mental health, then I think that would be the best solution. So you don't have to be checked in, because a lot of people, we don't address mental health issues until they have committed a crime. And but these people they do want help. And so if we have a free place for them to walk in and they're not trapped there, then it'll most of it will just be solved itself. No one wants to be, crazy and running around doing crazy stuff.
Absolutely. Okay, so there's a question regarding would you they want to know your position on qualified immunity. Do you support it or do you not?
I do not. I think that there are a number of people in the state that are police officers that have committed violent crimes, and they need to be charged with those violent crimes just as anybody else would. And if they have unalived a person, then they should be charged just like anybody else would. And the police should face the same exact consequences for crimes like that as regular citizens do.
Okay, and someone asked, what is your plan for emergency management?
So part of the plan is we need to stop, like the main emergency we have is the fires. And so we have earthquakes too, but our buildings are pretty well built for those. So the fires is the main focus here. And I have like a whole 7-step plan. And so if you want to check that out on my profile, there's a video of it. But basically, I'd like to be using animals to be doing the grazing on all of our hillsides, because it costs so much money to expand the people going around and maintaining these woods. So we need to be using animal grazing for that. We need to be, I'd like to invest a lot in our desalination to make our cities water independent, but that also means that we're going to be watering the hills a little bit. So part of that is recycling water. So we recycle water and we just legalized it to put it into the pipes, but I'd rather it go up the hill. And so it comes back down the hill and keeps the hill wet, but also then comes back down for us to drink. So uphill water recycling. And yeah, basically I'd like to address the fires before they begin. And if there's communities that need, and also one of my solutions for homelessness is to provide free housing. So in places where animal grazing doesn't make sense, we can put free tiny homes or houses there that you do fire management here, and you get to live there for free. And that would be like on the edges of the cities, along hiking trails maybe. And so we constantly have the management happening, but also we need to be making sure that there's an edge on all our cities of houses that are fireproof, whether that's concrete, whether that's like they're slightly underground. We need to be making sure that there's a border where people don't have to evacuate. Like there could be a fire. I mean, the fires are here and we know that. So really we should be building things so that you could watch them from your window. So that's, even if that means hardening your current houses, like with metal roofs and stuff.
Okay. All right. And then someone asked, do you believe we need to rake the forest? I'm sorry.
So, I mean, there are various different solutions to fire management. Like I said, I think part of it is that we need to be using animals to do what they naturally do. We've restricted natural animals from walking around. But I mean, there are systems where, yeah, like when you have really tall trees, you clear off the first 40 feet or 20 feet of branches, and then the fires can't catch. But really, we need to be making sure that things are staying hydrated. And part of that is making sure that there's water, but also that there's tree cover. Because I mean, when you clear land, the sun gets in and it dries it out. So part of it is just protecting the forests that we have so that they maintain their own moisture.
Okay, thank you for that. So, all right, looks like those were just a few questions that we had from our current segment regarding public safety, but this definitely rolls into the next topic, which is environment and infrastructure. So we understand that California has faced a lot of repeated challenges environmentally, such as wildfires, drought, water contamination, and severe storms. What would be your strategy or strategies that you would implement to protect communities and strengthen the state's climate-driven disaster preventions?
Part of that, again, is working with the animals. So one of the animals is beavers. Beavers used to be native to almost this entire state, and beaver dams prevent wildfire, drought, and flooding. So those are all issues that we face. And part of that is using the natural solutions to prevent it. But yeah, we definitely need to be ensuring that target areas are protected. So part of the fire solutions will be a commission that will be like looking at where the dry areas are, where we need to be targeting the fire prevention. And that team will also be looking at our other disasters and basically figuring out the target areas and the infrastructure that we need in those specific areas. Because I mean, some of it is just as simple as like there was a flood in San Diego because the wash was like filled up with dirt. And then all the water didn't go into the wash. It went onto the houses and destroyed them all. So part of it is just maintaining the infrastructure that we have.
That's interesting. I didn't know that there was like a depopulation of beavers. I do know they are essential to the environment, but that definitely makes a lot of sense because of the way they build their dams. So that is interesting to learn. Okay,
Yeah,
so
those are all the things from climate change, but it's like it's partly climate change, but it's partly because we got rid of all the beavers. There was 250 million beavers in North America, and then we hunted them all to almost extinction. So even that we hunted them all, and then the Dust Bowl happened. Like most of the issues that have happened were kind of because of beavers, the way I see it.
I'm definitely gonna have to read into that because I tend to read up on just random animals at times. So definitely gonna look more into the beaver population.
And watch
Okay,
videos;
so
they're so cute.
yes,
I get their
absolutely.
videos off Instagram now, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
All right, so the last question I have for you regarding this topic is infrastructure projects often get slowed down by bureaucracy, such as political gridlock and mismanagement a lot of times. So, what measures would you take to ensure more transparency, efficacy, and fair distribution of funds so that taxpayers know that their funds are actually being used appropriately from their communities?
Yeah, so I mean, I would like to audit the high speed rail and see what the deal is with that, because, like I said, the planning does take a while, but also it's taken so long that now everything costs more money. So we kind of needs to be sped up with that, and also I think we need to be making sure that we're not setting aside money until it's ready to be spent. Because, like I said, as the inflation happens, things get more expensive. So we need to make sure that when we're doing big infrastructure projects, that we set aside money to plan it, a small amount of money to plan the whole thing, get the environmental approvals, and then we are figuring out how much the cost is. Because I mean, that was the other thing, is they just said, oh, we're gonna have high speed rail, and then but then no one had really figured out what the cost was, and then now everyone's mad that it's more than they said it would be, but no one had actually designed it or thought about it. They just put a number on it. So part of it is separating the planning from the construction, and making sure that's clearly different things.
Okay. All right, absolutely. So we do have someone up on the panel, Ashley Banks. How are you? You would like to ask George a question?
Hi, Jazz. Hey, George. Hi, everybody. You go, George, with the police part. I love it. I love it. So I want to know about, and I may be prematurely because I'm from Chicago. So I want to know about the cause of the fires. Are you aware of the main cause? And if it has something to do with the camping and camping within those regions, how will you regulate that? Will you limit the campers, or will you just not have any camping at all? Because it seems as there's no limitation to the amount of people that has access to these locations, which is I think that's what's causing it. So educate me, because I'm from I'm from Chicago, but also, I don't know if Jazz, I'm also running for Congress. So I kind of want to get some ideas here. I'm listening to you. I know you're governor, and y'all, I got it today. I know which one it is, because last time I did not know. But thank you, George. But yes, help me out, because when we do get into government, I will be working with your Congress, member, to be able to do what we need to do to make sure we get the United States back on track.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, so with the fires, yeah, there are various reasons, and some of that is, yeah, like camping. I've actually personally discovered a fire and gotten it put out before, and that was from a person, yeah, like having a campfire and then it becoming out of hand next to the wash, like an aqueduct thing. So I mean that's part of it, but the main thing is we need to make sure that our target areas are staying moist. Like like the reason we have fires that are so dangerous is because we get these spells where things are just completely dry and everything just catches flame like that, and it gets out of control. So whether that means like part of that is like opening up our aqueducts so that we're putting part of the water back into the ground, and part of that is possibly extending our security systems. We do have like we have airplanes that fly over, and they're like monitoring all of our hillsides and stuff. So maybe that needs to be expanded. I haven't gotten to the details of that program yet. Um, but yeah, I would like to set aside, like I would like to set aside very specific regions where people are allowed to camp. Like basically with our homeless people, I think that might be what you're addressing. Um, they don't have a place that they could be, and some people need housing, some people want housing, some people just like to go around and live in different places on the street. Those are two different types of homeless people, and we need to have solutions for all of them. And so I would like to have specific regions where people are allowed to do that and be there, because right now they're just kind of moved all around, and then yeah, they get into a certain place, and then they start a fire or an accident, and it gets out of control. Um, so yeah, I would like to have specific areas for people to be setting up camp like that, where we are also including services like mental health, job access, and like things like that, showers, specifically showers. So yeah, so when there is people, we could say, hey, this is right here. This is where you're supposed to be. It's like not like we're taking them to a whole nother city, but they have specific places that they can be. And that's another version of like helping with the homeless people. Like they all have different needs. Some people want a house. Some people want to just be living free. Some people want to move around all over. and and so yeah, that's I agree that yeah, that is one of the causes of some of our fires.
Okay. All
And
right.
I just want to make, I don't know too much about putting out forest fires, but I will say, is there an opportunity to have some type of something that the camping, I'll have to look this up, like a water and foam type of material that would help give to the people that are camping, so when there is a fire they possibly can put it out prior to it spreading, because there's a time limit. So is there an opportunity to look to create a product to help those, so that way if the fire do start, not saying that they should be firemen, but just like when we're in our houses, we have the fire extinguisher. No, we can't use that in the forest, I'm aware, but is there a initiative to create something for the people who do camp so they can try to help before the fire spreads?
Just to clarify, are you talking about homeless people, or are you talking about like regular campers?
Talk about forest fires. That's what I was saying. So when you guys were talking about the natural disasters, I was asking you what was the goal to decrease the forest fires.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, definitely we need to be looking in a lot of different avenues for this. And so one of the things, so I my plan is to open up a lot of new universities as a way to get people to come into the state, because we need to get between 1 and 2 million people to come to California so we don't lose our electoral votes. And one of those and these universities will be targeted to specific things. So one of them will be an entire university that is dedicated to figuring out how to stop fires, and things like that would likely be part of the things that are going on there. And then we also have an issue where like we have glaciers in California and they're melting, and I feel like that could actually end up being a security threat if the ground starts to thaw underneath them. And so I will be opening an entire university based on the firefighting, but the main priority really is robotics. We need to be developing robots that can fight these fires, that could be deployed immediately, so that we're not really endangering humans. Um, so I mean, and then at the campgrounds, I think yeah, we also need to be including fire. First of all, we need to make sure our campgrounds have regional spaces where they have like evacuation zones, to get out of fires. But also, yes, we need to be making sure that the rangers and stuff there have access to the tools that they need. That is one of the campgrounds. That's one of my main priorities, is making sure that the campgrounds are secure from fire, because I've been to the places where the campgrounds are in the fire, and you can really feel the scary energy that occurred. So that
Okay.
is a big
All
push.
right. Well, thank you,
Thank you.
Ashley, for
Thanks,
coming up.
Josh. Y'all have a good day. Thank you.
All
Thanks.
right. Have a good day.
Good
All
luck.
right. There's another person in the queue that would like to come up and ask you a question. So Ivan, how are you?
Howdy.
Ivan?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Great,
Do you have a
great.
question
Good
for
evening.
George?
Yes, good evening, George, and good evening, Jazz. Really interesting questions from Ashley. Good luck to her in her efforts. Um, George, I'm in California. I've been in California for a little over 30 years now, from St. Louis. So this is for me. This is and my family is California is the dream. Um, I think that first and foremost, let me say that are you aware of the fact that there would probably be no need to create any other universities? We have 108 junior colleges in the state. We have the University of California system, and we also have the California State University system. So if you engage those entities, I don't think there would probably be a need to reestablish or build or, as you suggest, create another university. We have a plethora of private universities as well here in the state. But getting to fires, as Ashley brought up, um, the and I've worked with Caltrans, California Department of Transportation. I'm a retired colonel from the Army as well, retired here to California. With respect to the fire issues, Uh, are you aware of the fact that California, basically along the whole western seaboard, has a problem with lightning strikes, especially in the Sierras? That's the mountains to our east. So we have hundreds of lightning strikes up and down the state that create fires. Campers is not they're not that they're not that much of an issue with respect to fires being started. PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, they have above ground lines that snap that create fires, and they they were the driving force behind the fires here in the Paradise area and other areas above Colusa, above Sacramento County area. So it's not it's not campers because the camping issue is basically under control. You may have some crazies who are arsonists and that kind of thing, and
What?
they were identified. They were
I'm sorry.
identified in L.A.
What was
Yes,
your
go ahead,
question for
Jazz.
George? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It was regarding. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. I just wanted to bring some clarity to this issue. It's not campers, and I'm basically answering the question from Ashley. Campers, they're not the focus of starting fires here in California.
I think
Our
she was
fires are
talking about
primarily
around
from
the
the
cities.
weather, the lightning strikes. We have hundreds of lightning strikes, as you well know if you're familiar with the weather. We have PG&E lines above ground. Now that they've increased rates to customers, they're digging those lines to be put underground. So I just want to bring some clarity to that issue on behalf of Ashley, so that she'll understand that our issue aren't primarily campers. It's above ground lines from energy companies, and it's lightning strikes throughout the state. Over.
Yeah. So in regards to the universities, my priority with the universities. So I understand that they've done a research and they've decided that we have enough universities to supply the students that are coming out of our high schools. But what we need between 1 and 2 million people to come to the state of California, or we can lose up to 5 electoral votes and Congress seats. And as the governor, it's my job to maintain the power of the state. And so the target of these universities is less about making sure that the students that are here have a place to go and get their general education. It's more about targeting students from across the planet and bringing them into our state, and specifically bringing them into our rural regions. So I'm planning a university at the border at Imperial County, and as well as University Peak at the corner of Fresno County, and also at Goose Lake at the top corner of our county. So these universities aren't necessarily about making sure, like I said, that there's enough universities, and we need to have really specific targeted universities that people will come from across the nation and across the planet to come to these universities. And I understand we already have that, but they're just really more like famous for, being famous. Really, it's not like we have a school that's like, this is the school you go to for fire protection. And so that's kind of my agenda with the universities. It's more about attracting in new people, and bringing them to areas that are rural, that don't have universities and have dwindling populations.
Well, you mentioned Fresno. There's Fresno State. Yeah, I don't want to debate you on these issues. I think you have a pretty good, interesting platform. I think you need to become more and more aware of what the state has to offer.
I understand the entire system of
when
universities.
you start talking in terms of creating universities and things of that nature, you have to speak in terms of how you're going to subsidize those efforts. How would you subsidize creating a new university here in California?
So part of that is, like I said earlier, working with private partners, and part of that is working with international governments. We already have partnerships with nations around the world to fight fires, and so it would be helping to get investment into these specific universities. So whatever the target area of that university, we already have partnerships globally. with other nations that are dedicated to these specific causes, and we can get investment from there as well, and as well as students to come here.
Okay. Thank you for the question, Ivan. We have to go ahead and move forward with our next set of topic questions. So, I know I mentioned earlier that I was going to do some rapid fire with you, but now this is more so the fun portion of the rapid fire. So, are you ready, George?
Sure.
All right. California. So, if you were to choose, will it be California coast or California mountains?
To live? Or what?
Vacation, live. It could be either one. What would you prefer?
Mountains.
Mountains. Okay. Your favorite California road trip route?
Well, the one I've been on is 101, but the one I really want to go on is the 395.
Okay. And if you were to get your order from In-N-Out Burger, what would you choose? A single, double, or animal style fries?
Animal fries.
Okay. All right. Your preferred California weather, dry desert heat or coastal fog?
Coastal fog for sure.
Okay. And I'm not really familiar with this term, but it's called Cal Poly. Is Cal Poly a must-have study snack for you?
Study snack?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not familiar with that either. I know Cal Poly is a university.
Okay.
My
I'm
favorite
not.
snack there when I went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo was the taqueria chips. They were like taco seasoned chips, and they come in like this orange bag, and they're from San Luis Obispo.
I read the question wrong. So the place is called Cal Poly. That's a place to get food from, correct?
Well, I went to school there, so I just answered
Oh,
it.
okay,
What
okay.
my snack was when I lived there.
Oh, okay. Sorry for that. All right, and then next, are you a morning governor or a night owl governor if you were elected?
I'm a night owl, but I can wake up in the morning and do morning stuff, but I prefer the night.
Okay. And also 3 words your friends would use to describe you.
Smart, wild, and dedicated.
Okay. And if you could instantly fix one everyday California annoyance, would it be traffic, parking, or high rent?
Well, I mean, it has to be the high rent. I mean, for me, it's like, yeah, traffic, but it has to be the high rent. But actually, my
Okay.
solution to that is to do those Hillmans in the places with the traffic, so the housing and the traffic is actually solved in one.
Okay. And what's your favorite way to unwind after a long day on the campaign trail?
Probably just scrolling on TikTok and seeing if what the national news is. It doesn't help me
Okay.
unwind.
And lastly, what's your go-to hype song before a big public event?
Hmm. Well, right before this, I listened to that Taylor Swift song, the land, the sea, the sky. I forget what it's called. Oh, Ophelia. That was what I
Okay.
did before this.
All right, that was it for my last portion of rapid fire questions. So, George, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation that we had thus far. But with that being said, for it to be a final word that you would give voters, could you tell me what would your message be to those voters ahead of the primaries and election day?
The message really is, I mean, my main message is that we need to get the plastic out of our food supply, and we need between 1 and 2 million people. So we need to be investing in projects, and it doesn't matter if we go into debt, because if we lose the seats, we're losing them to the South, and we've lost. And the South is projected to have, they're about to have more congressional seats than they've ever had in history. And so we need to be focusing on bringing people to this state, whatever means possible, getting them to live here. And yeah, and generally in your everyday life, try to remove the plastic. The plastic is really bad for our health. And that's something that, I don't have to win, but you could still get the plastic out of your life.
Okay. And just quickly, someone asked in the chat, do you support rent caps?
Yes. I'm more focused on condos and getting affordable condos. I really don't like this focus on apartments. It's a perpetuation of poverty. I'll support a rent cap, especially if it was a bill that was developed. I would definitely sign that. But I'm really more focused on condos so people can build wealth.
Okay. And also, when are the primaries in California? And then, oh, I just remember you all have jungle primaries, correct? So it's open to all parties to do the primaries. When is the month of the primary
June
in
6th.
California? June 6th? Okay. And also election day is November 2026, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. And then also, I just want to thank you for being here. And then also, if you could plug in all of your socials and how people can stay involved with you and how could they contribute to your campaign.
Totally, yeah. All my socials are George4CA. I'm on pretty much every platform, so you can find me just by searching George4CA, one word on most things. And yeah, my website is george4ca.com. You might need to do the www because I've changed my website like 3 times and now it's having issues. But yeah, George4CA. And if you can, starting on December 19th, we need to collect like 7,000 signatures in like a month. So if you're interested in helping, no matter where you are in the state, send me a message or sign up to volunteer on george4ca.com with the number just like my account. And yeah, well, you can help us get signatures from your neighbors or your family. And yeah, that's our main focus right now from end of December to the 4th of February is signature collection. And so I would consider running for local office. The reason I'm running to be the governor, I didn't get into this, is because I don't believe in prison labor. I think that prison labor is slavery. And currently all of our prisons are public, so the governor can immediately end all prison labor, and that would be what I would do in office. So the only reason I'm running for office is to be the governor, because the governor is the only person who can end slavery, in my opinion. And also there's an experiment going on in San Quentin that if anybody else wins, what they've been saying sounds like they're going to cancel it. And that's the pathway. I just made a video about it. It's Marin Part 1. And that's the pathway to end prison labor across the country. So I'm really focused on getting rid of the plastic and solving the environmental issues. And I could do that more effectively as a business person, but I have to be the governor to end prison labor. So that's the only reason I'm running for office. So I mean, I would consider a local office, but it's really, I mean, the plastic is a global issue, and that's been my number one priority since college. Sorry, I saw that in the chat, and I thought I should address that.
No, you're fine. You're completely fine. So thank you again, George. But before you go, we do want to invite you to a few things that we have coming up. So tomorrow evening, we will be holding the next town hall for a candidate named Brittany Robinson. Brittany Robinson is running for Florida's 4th Congressional District. And so we'll be holding that town hall tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you have any extra time, please stop by and come in and listen to that conversation. And also this coming Sunday, we will be hosting another roundtable discussion with a set of candidates. And we would like for you to join if you are interested. Just be on the lookout for our email letter that we will send out to you. And hopefully you will accept that invite. So that will be on Sunday, that roundtable at, I believe it's at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just be on the lookout for that email. And once again, as you all see on this graphic, we do have some more candidates that we will be highlighting, which I just mentioned just now with Brittany Robinson. That is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's also a double header, not to mention. Following Brittany, we have Justin Douglas. Justin is running for Pennsylvania's 10th Congressional District. And we will hold that after later on that evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you have any extra time, feel free to come in and support the candidate and listen to their conversation. And all right, with that being said, once again, thank you, George, for stepping into OVC and for us to host your town hall. It was a great conversation getting to know you. And thank you for the participants in the chat. This conversation would not be anything without you all keeping the conversation flowing. And also thank you to OVC for hosting this town hall. And last but not least, our OVC team. Our OVC team works diligently hard, even on off days and holidays. So when you all taking a nap and sleeping, we are up working. So yes, absolutely. So we wouldn't, our team is just awesome. And we wouldn't be anything without the work and the due diligence of what our team comes to bring to fruition. So with that being said, lastly, Our vote counts. We are a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity, and ensure every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, accountability, and action, we're building a stronger democracy. So with one informed vote at a time, please join us because your vote is your power. So until then, see you all tomorrow with our doubleheader.